Performers and Achievers. Welcome to Performers and Achievers Daily with me, Gavurla. In today's episode, we're talking about the importance of intensity. Now, regardless of what you're doing or what you're working on or anything, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you hear people say, bring more energy, or you might say to yourself, you need energy, or to use more effort or more effort. And sometimes this does have an effect, and you're able to accomplish what it is that you're looking to accomplish. However, here's another approach, and that is more intensity. So you can modulate your intensity. Sometimes you have more intensity, and at other times, based on the situation, the intensity is not as much. So there's lots of examples of this. So when you're working on a project and you're putting it together and you're trying to get all the pieces together and figure out what's the best approach, you have more intensity because there's different pieces that are being put together. And then once you put together those pieces, you have a structure, you have a strategy, and then you implement the strategy and your intensity lowers. And another example is, for example, you're playing a basketball game, let's say, soccer match, tennis match. Well, there are specific times and situations in the match where you have more intensity, right?
Yes.
There's more intensity, and that's just the natural flow of the game. And for example, you're running down the pitch, you're counterattacking. So now you're attacking the goal. You have your teammates there. The amount of intensity naturally increases. There's more intensity. However, when you're further back and you're building up the play, the amount of intensity is not as high. The amount of intensity is not as high. You're passing the ball to teammates back and forth. Then, of course, if someone's coming to get the ball from you, your intensity increases. And so this is always being modulated by you. Another example, let's say that you're playing tennis and you're serving and you just finished a point. And it was a longer point, so you're a little winded. So before you serve the next point, you want to increase your intensity, more intensity, right? More intensity. Now you can try to say more energy or more effort. However, intensity includes both of those, includes both energy and effort. So you're modulating your intensity. And it's similar in basketball. If you play basketball, you're running a fast break, your intensity is more. You receive the outlet pass, your intensity is more as you're going down the court. And then you're either going up for the shot or an assist, or you're stopping at the 3-point line to shoot a three, whatever it may be. Now, however, when you're fouled in the act of shooting, you go to the free throw line. Well, your intensity is not as high as when on a fast break. you're actually lowering your intensity. So you're modulating your intensity. When you lower your intensity, you probably take some slow breaths where your exhale is longer than your inhale. And then you lock in on the rim. And then you might visualize shooting the basketball. And then you go through your free throw shooting routine. And as you're going through your free throw shooting routine, you're making slight adjustments based on several factors. Because if you're just ran down and you run in a lot of fast breaks, you've got a different composition in your body than if you were in a half court set and you were working the ball around. So there's different ways to regulate that. And so one of them in this episode that we're discussing is regulating your intensity. So to hit a ace, let's say, in tennis, you do so with more intensity. You're not able to lower your intensity to hit an ace. So these are just different approaches. And at work, for example, before I was doing this podcast and what I would talk about on this podcast, how I would help you and support you, which is what this podcast is all about, is I needed to increase my intensity. I had a low intensity, and with that low intensity, it wasn't able to put together all the different items and structure the podcast session for you. So once I got that and I created that with more intensity, now that I'm doing the podcast, my intensity is much lower. So this is something for you to implement, and you'll get a sense of it. You'll have a sense of control, which is important, of your whatever endeavors you're pursuing, whatever interests, whatever objectives, whatever goals, whatever it is that you like doing. And whatever it is that you're accomplishing, you're achieving, you're improving, all of those kind of items. So that's what I have for you today. If you like my podcast, like it. For those of you who are interested in my private, personal, professional, confidential programs and services, visit my website, rajgavurla.com, fill out the brief form, and we will contact you as soon as we can. Enjoy your day.